Pair of shoes for $30. They fall apart in 4 months. You buy them again. By the end of the year, you have spent $60 on shoes that a wealthier person bought once for $90 and is still wearing. This is not bad luck. This is math. And the real answer is far stranger than anyone tells you. Poverty is not just a lack of money, it is a tax. An invisible, compounding tax that follows you into every decision you make. Economists call this the boot theory of poverty, first described in fiction by Terry Pratchett, but backed by real economic research. A cheap pair of boots costs $10 and lasts a season. A well-made pair costs $50 and lasts 10 years. If you have $50, you spend it once. If you only have 10, you spend it 5 times over that same decade. Same boots, 5 times the price, just paid slowly in small installments. Now scale that logic up. Across housing, across food, across banking, if you have 6 months of expenses saved, you never pay an overdraft fee. Your money simply covers you. But if you live paycheck to paycheck, one late deposit, and the bank charges you $35, sometimes twice in a week. Researchers at the Pew Charitable Trusts found low-income households pay hundreds of dollars a year in fees that wealthier households almost never encounter, because a cushion of savings makes those fees structurally impossible to trigger. Being broke does not cause the fee. Being close to broke does. Here's where it gets stranger. You would think credit is about trust. It is actually about buffer. Banks do not ask, is this person honest? They ask, does this person have room to absorb a mistake? No room means high risk. High risk means a higher interest rate. The same car loan that costs a wealthy buyer 4% interest can cost a low-income buyer 18%. Not because they're a worse driver, because their bank statement has less cushion in it. Economist Sendhil Mullainathan spent years studying this trap. With psychologist Eldar Shafir, he found that scarcity itself changes how the brain processes decisions, not the person, the condition. Sugarcane farmers in one study scored lower on cognitive tests right before harvest than right after being paid. Same farmers, same intelligence, different bandwidth, because scarcity drains mental energy the way a background app drains a phone battery. Why does this happen? Your brain evolved for an environment where scarcity meant immediate danger. A missed meal 30,000 years ago was a survival threat, not a budgeting error. So your nervous system treats financial scarcity today with that same ancient urgency. Cortisol floods the system. Long-term planning gets deprioritized. The brain narrows onto the nearest threat because for most of human history, that was the only one that mattered. This is not weakness. This is inheritance. You cannot afford the bulk bag of rice, so you buy the small one at a higher price per ounce. You cannot afford a car, so you take 2 buses, adding 90 minutes a car owner never spends. A 2019 Financial Health Network study found unbanked households spend over $2,000 a year in fees just to access their own money through check cashing and payday loans. If poverty were only about income, a single windfall should fix it permanently. It rarely does. Why? Because poverty is not a number. It is pressure, applied continuously from every direction at once. Wealthier renters afford the deposit that gets them into safer buildings with lower insurance. Lower income renters land in buildings with weaker maintenance and landlords who know they have fewer alternatives. Lose a car, lose the job it got you to. Anthropologists call this a poverty trap, a loop where each shortfall creates the next one. Healthcare shows the same cruelty. A wealthier person treats a symptom early for a few $100s. A lower income person, unable to afford the visit or the missed wages, waits. By the time it reaches the emergency room, the same condition costs thousands. The delay is not neglect. It is the only math available. Study after study, including work by Mullainathan and Shafir, shows that when researchers simulate scarcity in wealthy participants, they make the exact same short-term, high-interest decisions. The behavior is not a trait of the person. It is a response to the condition. Give someone breathing room, and the decisions change immediately. Take the room away, and anyone starts making choices we've been taught to call the mistakes of the poor. So tonight, when you buy the cheaper version of something because it's all you can afford, remember what you're paying for. You are not choosing badly. You are paying the cost of not having enough room to choose well. And the shoes fall apart again in 4 months. Not because you did something wrong, because the system was quietly priced against you from the very first purchase.